It's your favorite nurse, Stephanie, and welcome to Planned Senior Moments. This is the podcast that helps you learn how to keep your parents safe, avoid unnecessary hospitalizations, and support them in aging in place with dignity and confidence. Most of my clients come to me during a time of crisis. Mom's in the hospital, things have changed drastically, and suddenly you're scrambling to come up with a plan of care. But it doesn't have to be that way. With each episode, I'll share real-life stories, expert advice, and practical tips so that you can be proactive, not reactive when it comes to senior care. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining today. We have Stephanie Nesbitt, part owner of Home Matters, and she's been in the industry for many years and offering a service that our seniors need, caregiving, as well as some electronics that go into the home, which is really cool, which is why she's my top referral company for these services. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us about you, how you got into this industry, the areas you serve. Just tell us everything.
Yes, I've been in the home care world for 9 years, and I always say it's my calling because I adore our seniors and I want to make sure that they are kept safe. So I'm very passionate about taking care of them, being with them, setting up the right care, and doing everything I can to keep them safe in their home so they can age in place. Or if they're in a community, so they can stay where their home is.
Absolutely. That's always the focus, right? Or it should be, especially when home is where you want to be. And there are so many layers of care that we can provide inside the home. But it really starts with caregiving because you have to have someone there to offer that support, be it 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, or 24 hours a day. The situation is always a little different per family. Some families need round the clock because they can't quit their job or leave their kids at home alone, and they have to have somebody inside the home to help mom and dad with driving to appointments, making meals, ensuring that they're eating, taking their medications, assisting with safe bathing and showering, dressing even. So when a family calls you, what is it like? Do you do a consultation over the phone? Do you go and then meet them in person? Walk us through your process.
The first thing I do is I talk to them on the phone and I get a feel for what they're looking for. And then we set up a time to meet. And I like to have as many of the interested parties in that meeting. I always say that I like to have mom or dad or grandma or uncle or whomever the care is for to be there too, because they need to be vested in their care. There's a difference if they have advanced dementia, but I like for them to feel included in what they think they need going forward. So we have a meeting and it can be anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, depending on how much we chat. And I get to know them and their background and where they're from and what they did for a living and family members that are near or far away, and what can Home Matters Caregiving do to keep them safe in their home. I'm stressing it again.
And then what do the caregivers do with all their extra time? There is so many things that caregivers can do outside of maybe just helping with showers. So how do you educate families about utilizing that time, be it for light housekeeping, getting the mail, taking them on errands, or even doing something fun like going to the adult community center to be a part of activities?
I always say there are three main objectives. The first one is keeping them safe. So do they need help with ambulation? Do they need help in the shower? Do they need med reminders? Are they staying hydrated? We don't want any UTIs. Are they eating? Are they getting their protein, or are they on a restricted diet? Safety looks different for every person. So what can we do to keep them safe? That's job number one. If they're 88 years old and they're on a walker, they don't need to be mopping their floor. A caregiver can mop their floor, can take out the trash, can do those things that would prevent a potential fall. So all those things that you said, If they're ambulatory, let's go walk and get the mail. Even if it's a walker, a cane, hanging on to someone. Body in motion stays in motion, a body at rest stays at rest. So if they're able to get up and move, let's get them moving. And making the bed and doing the laundry. Again, if you're 88 years old or 92, you don't need to be tucking in the sheets. Someone can make a bed for you. It's your time to enjoy that. So any household tasks, watering the plants, tidying up the kitchen. I ask the family members, I'm like, make a list. What would you like to be done to keep mom, dad, or whomever safe? And then the third thing that is super important to me is communication. We communicate with the family what we see because we are the eyes and ears for them, especially if the kids or family members live out of state. So what kind of information would you like? How often do you want it? And update the family on how they really are doing, because prior to the fall or prior to the help, they could call mom or dad. I would say prior to maybe the start of care, they would call mom or dad and say, how are you doing? And they'll say, I'm fine. In reality, they may not have showered in a week. So they're not really fine. So having someone be in there to be the eyes and ears for them.
That's a really good point, Stephanie, that you bring up, because I encounter that a lot. Cognitive impairment can oftentimes go undetected, especially when family members are not nearby, which we have a lot of that in Arizona, right? The adult children are all over the United States, but mom and dad are here. So they rely on the conversation that they have over the phone. It's probably going to be a completely different story once I get into the home and complete my assessment. We get a real picture of what's going on, and oftentimes the children are astonished. But most people just are unaware that dementia can be covered up. And if you're not there to see it, all you have to go on is, oh, everything's fine, honey. Thanks for calling. And that's just not the reality. Something else that I think is so important too for clients, which I know your team does, is implementing things that make them happy. So let's leave time to read a book. Let's leave time to do a puzzle. Let's leave time to have our favorite breakfast or our favorite dessert. Happy people live longer. And when our needs are met, we're taken care of and we feel loved and we have the opportunity to socialize and be around people we care for. Everything is better. You also have something else that not all of our companies, or many even, maybe not any, have, which is your equipment in the home. I don't want to steal your thunder, so please tell us more about that.
So Home Matters Caregiving has embraced safety on many levels. And one of those levels is the use of AI technology. Some people say, ooh, they get a little nervous about it. I absolutely love it. And what it allows us to do is to provide better care. So it's very simple, straightforward, like 3 little Glade plug-in boxes. You put one in the bathroom, the bedroom, and maybe like the family room kitchen area where seniors spend most of their time. And what it does is it creates a baseline through the use of AI technology, and it understands the patterns of activity in the home. And what it does, it looks for any change in condition. So mom may have some dementia and she can't remember how many times she goes to the bathroom. And we find through this baseline, it takes about a week to do that, that she goes to the bathroom at 10 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden we see a spike. And maybe the first night, if she's getting up 5 or 6 times, that could potentially mean a urinary tract infection. What we want to do is we want to call the POA, the family, whomever, and say, take mom to her primary care, because a urinary tract infection, UTI, is the #1 reason for hospitalizations, and it's the #1 most preventable. So let's go check it out, because in my 9 years, I've had so many stories. Mom just got dementia overnight. No, she didn't get dementia overnight. She might have a UTI. So we want to monitor that. With our technology, we get reports. I get reports on my phone all day long. Potential gastrointestinal issues, potential high blood pressure, potential UTI. Worst case scenario, fall alert. And if there's a fall and mom is all alone in her home and the caregiver is not going to be there till 7 o'clock in the morning, like, we need to know so we can get in there. So supposedly they have their watch, but it's being charged, or they have their pendant, but they're not wearing it because they took a shower and they're afraid they're going to get electrocuted or something. And so all those other supplemental things that they might have are not always being used. With our AI technology, it's just in the background. It only picks up on change in condition. Those things are not picked up. It's only medical alert information that we need to know to keep our people safe.
Yes, and you bring up a good
Oh,
point.
and last thing, that because we are so committed to safety, we can put in this technology, we meaning me, and there is no charge for it if you have caregiving hours. So it's pretty awesome.
That is really awesome. And for those who are listening, this type of equipment can go for $200 to $500 a month. And it's a wonderful tool to have. But when you're using caregiving services with Stephanie's team at Home Matters, you get this at no charge. You brought up a really good point with the fall necklace, the alert necklace, and the watch. It's only good if you're conscious and you're wearing it. So if you have a fall and you're unconscious, you cannot push your watch, you cannot push your emergency alert necklace. So your technology will pick up a loud thud. It will pick up no movement. It will pick up a moan or a groan, and that will alert however the family has set this up. So it could go to the daughter, it could go to the fire department, it could go straight to 911. A lot like an emergency alert necklace, you can program that the way that you want it. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And it becomes, now I'm losing my train of thought, it becomes a little fine tuned. So maybe mom is not going to the bathroom 5 times a night, but every time she uses the bathroom, there is a little moan. Oh, it hurts when I use the bathroom. That would be another signal to us.
That's wonderful. And as a nurse for 25 years, I've seen patients literally go septic before my eyes. First, we see confusion, then we see fatigue, slurred speech. We're going to the ICU. And it happens quickly. It happens so quickly. So, any measures that you can put in place to catch potential infections, it really truly can be life saving.
And there's also something else I might want to add. I think it's important. My very first time I installed it, it was for a sweet little lady, and she had Parkinson's and dementia. And 2 weeks later, 10:31 on a Friday night, fall alert. I call up immediately, and it wasn't her who had fallen, it was her husband.
Oh,
2 weeks later, he fell again. So we alerted his daughters and said, okay, we got to start thinking about dad too, not just mom. There was a heated conversation, which you can pick up, that the daughter was telling them, Mom, I keep telling you to use your walker. And what that allowed us to do is when the caregiver was in there all day long with the Parkinson's and the dementia, is to reinforce using the walker. So it was great.
yeah, that's where caregiver burnout comes. Unfortunately, with those types of diagnoses, you can't retain the education. So you have to remind. And that can really be burdensome on a caregiver that isn't getting any breaks. Everyone needs a break from your children, from your job, from your family. Everyone is better when they get a break. I've worked with a lot of clients who just want to be superwoman and do everything, but it's so much better when you're getting breaks. Wouldn't you agree?
Of course.
Stephanie, when someone needs your services, first of all, what part of the valley do you cover? And what is the best way for them to contact you?
So we cover, I'd like to say the entire valley. We're stronger in North Scottsdale, Phoenix, Carefree, Cave Creek area, going out into the East Valley, and we can go into the West Valley. I like them to call me directly because I want to be on top of the care, on top of everything. I'm an inherent communicator, and I just want all the information so that I can make sure it goes as needed, as planned, as hoped for.
So call you directly.
Yes, sirree.
All right. And that phone number?
480-489-9800. 9186.
Wonderful. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to have you back and we can do a deep dive into just really some personal stories with families that we've helped, because I think it's so important for listeners to be able to relate. Then we know we're not alone. It's, oh my gosh, somebody else has gone through the exact same thing and there are solutions. Thank you again for joining
Wait,
us.
we just won. Home Matters Caregiving just won for the 4th year in a row. We're ranked in the top 18 home care companies across the United States based on reviews from families, clients, and people who refer to us. So we're not perfect, but we do a really good job and people are really happy with us.
Yes, there are going to be challenges in any organization, but when my family needs something, I know that I can reach you directly and share with you the concern, and you're going to address it immediately. And customer service is hard to find these days. So thank you for being my #1 referral partner. And everyone, again, I'm going to upload all of Stephanie's information, but Stephanie, if you could give that phone number one more time.
480-489-9186.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us today, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.